All right, so let's start this broadcast with the big story that we're tracking at this hour, and this has come in from the Kashmir Valley. In what is being described as yet another terror incident in the valley, 2 civilians were shot dead and 1 was injured in Kulgam. Now, the incident has come just a day after 2 civilians were killed in Srinagar and also in Pulwama, raising fears of a terror resurgence in the valley. Now, all of the victims were said to be non-locals belonging to the Indian state of Bihar who had migrated to the valley. Currently, the area has been cordoned off and search for the terrorists continues, and the latest attacks mark a series of what are being described as targeted killings of civilians, especially those who have come to the state from other regions. Now, most of those who have been targeted happen to be poor vendors who in fact migrated to the valley in the aftermath of the de-operationalization of Article 370. In the last 2 weeks, 11 civilians have been killed in different attacks. Earlier, a school principal and a teacher were also killed in Srinagar's Eidgah area. Other victims include a 68-year-old local businessman and a pharmacist. Earlier, the local police had blamed terrorists acting on explicit instructions from certain Pakistani agencies. Now, the police say that the perpetrators are trying to create an atmosphere of fear with the motive of disrupting communal harmony in the Kashmir Valley. The previous attacks have had dual claims of responsibility by terror groups, both from the Resistance Front, which is an offshoot of the Lashkar-e-Taiba group, and also the so-called Islamic State, which seems to be spreading its tentacles. At least this is what the security agencies say in the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir and the now present Union territory that is governed directly by the central government. The resurgence in terror is being linked to the fall of Afghanistan to the Taliban. The Taliban's takeover has emboldened certain terror groups in Pakistan. Now, just a couple of months after the fall of Kabul, they're now turning their attention, apparently, to the Kashmir Valley. The reports suggest that Kashmir has recorded the highest influx of terrorists in the last 2 years. Many of them are said to be members of the Jaish-e-Mohammed and the Lashkar-e-Taiba groups. The current situation is similar to, or at least it is being described to be similar to what was unfolding in 1989 after the Soviet Union was defeated in Afghanistan and Pakistan began to redirect the battle-hardened Mujahideen fighters into Kashmir. It used the chaos of Afghanistan to create a security nightmare in the Kashmir Valley, and 2 decades later, this is what it is being said, that history seems to be repeating itself. All right, now to give us the latest in terms of what's unfolding in the Kashmir Valley, we are joined by our correspondent Idris Lone, who's joining us live for more on this story. Good morning to you, Idris. Bring us up to speed with what is happening in the valley.
Well, Salim, at the moment, the whole Jammu and Kashmir has been put on red alert after these incidents. 11 civilians have been killed in the last 2 weeks in Kashmir Valley, and most of them are non-locals. It's a big worry for the security forces, and to some extent, security forces have said that the first 5 killings that took place in Kashmir Valley, they resolved the cases, they solved the cases, but on the ground, it doesn't look like that at all. Jammu and Kashmir police, from our sources, we're being told, have detained around 900 people, and they're questioning them regarding these civilian killings. And after these civilian killings, we've also seen a rise in the counter operations by security forces with concern to militant groups. We've seen 13 encounters in October only taking place in the Union territory of Jammu and Kashmir, and more than a dozen militants have been killed in these encounters. And security forces claim that 5 of the militants that were killed in these encounters were the killers of the civilians in Kashmir Valley. Overall, security forces claim that the situation was in control till yesterday, but since yesterday we've seen that the security situation not very good, especially for the non-local vendors and people who have come to work as laborers in Kashmir Valley. They're being targeted in different parts of Kashmir, not only Srinagar, but South Kashmir as well as North Kashmir. So it's a big worry. We've also heard that security forces had called all these non-local laborers to police stations and army camps, but later they denied that information. But at the moment, security on high alert across the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir after these attacks. We've also been told that the Chief Minister of Bihar, from where the long.
All right, there seems to be a bit of an issue there in the line with my colleague Idris Lone. We'll try and get him back online again. But this is the latest. This is a very worrying situation that seems to be unfolding at this point of time, where these are specific targeted killings. It is happening in the Kashmir Valley. Remember, it's happening in the aftermath of the de-operationalization of Article 370. Kashmir Valley at this point of time is directly governed by the union government. Idris, I'm told that you're back online with me. One issue which a lot of people are watching the developments unfold in the Kashmir Valley that they're looking at is the fact that the security arrangements at this point of time have been ramped up. And this is something that's been happening over a period of the last few days. How is it possible that a lot of these attackers, we are given to understand, are infiltrators from across the border, but the border is pretty watertight?
Well, absolutely. If we talk about the line of control, the infiltration has gone down by a few months, especially in the last 1 year, if we talk about the situation over the line of control. But nevertheless, in Kashmir Valley, Jammu and Kashmir Police as well as other security agencies had claimed that the recruitment into these militant groups, the local recruitment into the militant groups has also gone down, which means that there are only around 200 active militants in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir at the moment. But looking at the situation presently, the targets that these militants are making are civilians, are people who are not with security. And that's a big concern. This has not happened before. I don't remember civilians being targeted at this level in the last at least 1 decade. So it's a new trend that started in the Kashmir Valley, especially where non-local vendors and laborers are being attacked. Overall, the security has been put on high alert across the Jammu and Kashmir, and they've been told, all the laborers, all the vendors who are from outside have been told to go to secure locations, and for a couple of days they should not also go to work. But how will that work? Because security agencies can't provide security for all of these vendors and locals who are being targeted. So they will have to break the network that is working between these militant groups. And at present, we are being told that around 900 people have been detained by security agencies, questioning and investigating these civilian killings.
All right, we'll have to leave there. Thank you very much indeed, Idris Lone, for joining us and getting us all those insights in terms of what is unfolding in the Kashmir Valley. We'll of course come back to you as more details emerge on this developing story. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.